We have been working very intensively with Orange over the last months on solutions and projects and customer engagement. And if we look at the industry, for us it's everything about everybody is in a digital transformation, right? One way or the other. You can over-exaggerate it, but a lot of times it's, I want to take my legacy business and I want to use technology to either go faster, go to market, or connect new services, or whatever you want to do with it. There is some kind of digital transformation. And for us, what we're trying to say is that we want to, if you see any Aruba speech, you will always hear experience, and experience at the edge. So therefore, the presentation is called We Redefine Your Digital Experience. And that's what we truly believe that we are doing in the industry. So for the presentation, I want to have, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce Aruba very briefly. I'm going to show you how the analyst, in particular Gartner, is looking at us. And then we will see what our vision and strategy is. And I want to give you as much as I can examples in what we see with schools or hospitals or different vertical markets, and drive a little bit our differentiation in the market. And then end it off coming back to Laurent to see what our combined services is as Orange and Aruba in the industry. So my name is Tobias Veninge. As said, I'm the EMEA CTO and what we call system engineer or pre-sales director. I'm working 19 years in this industry. I do a lot of IEEE and IETF standardizations also. So it's I'm a long time in the industry, and we'll get back to you about a story about that one when we get back to the analyst. In 2002, Aruba has been founded by Keerti Melkote. And then in 2006, we have been recognized as the market leader for WLAN. So that's within 4 years. This is a pretty fast in the market. And in 2007, Aruba went IPO. And then you see in 2013, they saw something on the market, what we call network access control. And that's what I called our ClearPass product. So that's been around 6, 7 years ago when we have been really pushing on network access control. And I'll get back to that one later. In 2015, Hewlett Packard Enterprise and Aruba joined forces, right? And Aruba became the main networking business unit within Hewlett Packard Enterprise. And then, as of 2016, we became the market leader for WLAN LAN, or what Gartner is calling the unified LAN, or give it any terminology on there. And as of today, Keerti Melkote is still the founder, president, and leading of the Aruba business unit, which I think, and as I said, I'm 19 years in HPO. I started at Digital, Compaq, and I saw all kinds of acquisitions, but this is truly unique that you have a founder, and he's still the founder, president of the company. And what it means for us from an architectural perspective, it started all around mobility and bring your own device. Then it has been extended to make sure you can do multi-vendor networks and everything around standardization. So this is in our DNA, right? It's in all our product. Everything is open, everything based on open standardization. And then it has been extended across wired, across core switching, across wide area networking, across cloud, and then the last one has been IoT. So it is one single architecture that is built to last, right? It didn't change in the 16, 17 years. It's the same architecture that has been extended, and I think that is pretty unique, and that's what we call the edge architecture. So how are the analysts looking at us? Actually, you see our marketing department using a little bit of bigger balls there for the two leaders, but we were seen by Gartner as the most innovative, and Cisco has been seen as the market leader, which they actually truly are. So we've been seen as the most innovative networking vendor out there in this market. And then there is another report which is really interesting, which a lot of enterprise companies are used, is what they call the network, the critical capabilities, right? So you can rate these things inside that report, and you say, here's your vendor rating. And 5 out of 6, we have been rated #1 in the industry, which is for us key. And now I'll tell my history. When I started this company, we were number 11 on the market for this unified LAN. So during my journey, I've been growing from the whole bottom inside the top of the magic quadrant, which is a big thing for us. So why edge and why experiences? Why is this so key for us? So if you think about your own infrastructure, right? And if you think about how people are consuming your infrastructure, I think that's the edge of the network, right? That's why people day in, day out, consuming your applications, consuming your infrastructure. So, and if you think about that edge in the infrastructure, that's the only location where people, places, and things come together, right? So if you want to drive any innovation, if you want to drive any new experience, you do it at the edge of the infrastructure. That's why you want to do it. And what it means for different vertical markets. So if you take a smart digital workplace, right? We work with a company called Deloitte, and they are in Amsterdam, they have a building called The Edge, which everybody goes to because it's very innovative. But what we did there is driving just a smart digital workplace, right? What it means is, if you want to keep on attracting young talent in your company, they want to come in and the furniture is automatically adjusted to make sure you can work as efficient as you can. You have an app that you can find and see the meeting rooms inside your building, and you can immediately, if you go into that, it will be immediately booked for you, right? And you will be automatically logged into your Skype for Business, your Teams, whatever kind of systems you have there. So it's the way you are consuming the building. The other side is facility management want to use that same infrastructure to make sure they can connect their sensors, but they also want to use the same infrastructure to measure how the building is being used. So that's everything for us around smart digital workplace. But for a school, there's a lot of times when we have education is one of our biggest segments, and if we have a conversation, it's all about, we just want to have connectivity, right? We want to allow students and teachers to take their devices and get connectivity. But I think it is bigger, right? What is you can do for that school, you create a digital learning environment, right? So where students really can start to collaborate on each other on that same kind of infrastructure, and where the students really can make sure to consume all the digital learnings that they have in there. For the teachers, it means, hey, I want to share my screen without students taking over. And students want an app, right? So you want an app on how you can find your location, but also on that app you can immediately do, for example, classroom registration instead of doing it by pencil and say, hey, are you here? Yes, no, yes, no. Because believe me, I have 3 sons, and they will never give their phone to somebody else. So your classroom registration with a phone is amazing for education. So this is the way you completely start using your infrastructure. For a store is, how can I drive my next generation shopper experience? And we all know that having an on-premise store or a store, it is hard to keep business. I see the ones that are surviving is using technology. So the way, if you have an app, and people are, for example, searching on that app for certain products, if they come into the store, then you can immediately say, hey, if you go here, you can go to that particular, you immediately guide them in the shop to that particular location of that particular item they were looking for. Or if it is a loyal shopper, you can immediately welcome them and say, hi, Dobios, thank you for being back, can we help you? Or if somebody's standing in a shop, you can notify your shopper, your employees in that shop, say, hey, somebody's standing there, maybe you can help him. Or you want to have one infrastructure and not separate infrastructures also for your electronic shelves. And you want to do scanning device, autonomous shopping or autonomous inventory tracking. That's what you want to drive in a shop. And for a hotel, it means how many devices can they bring in? How can you deliver the services? How is my hotel being used? And if somebody's standing in front of a queue to make sure that they want to book an excursion, maybe you can digitize and say, hey, I see you standing a long time, maybe we can help you online, or something like that. The other one is hospital is everything about uptime, everything about security, but also it's a lot of different business units, right? So how can you do asset tracking? If next generation patients experience, if you come in and you come into the hospital and you say, hey, I see you have an appointment at 11:30, but they have a 30 minutes delay, what can we maybe do to you can maybe go there, we registered you, go to the cafeteria, you get your second coffee free, and 10 minutes before your appointment, we say, hey, okay, come up, and we guide you immediately. That's a different experience by using technology. So that's what we mean about the edge. And the platform we are building at is one single architecture. And on the lower layer, it is about the products, right? Wireless, wired, all the different components that provide you connectivity. And this is a unified layer. Get back to that one, what it means. Then on top of this, we add services. One thing is location services. Can be either via Wi-Fi or integrated in your access point via BLE if you want to do more pinpointing and more accurate kind of. So it depends a little bit on use. Wi-Fi is fine to see how your building is being used. If you want to do Bluetooth navigation, you better use BLE. So it's a little bit very different. Then you have network access control. So who's accessing your network? But we have a separate slide on that one. And then the other one is because you need to manage the product. On top of that, we have been adding a couple of things. A service assurance, but I don't rather talk about SLAs. I always talk about experience. So how are you going to measure how the user is perceiving the experience of the networking infrastructure? And for the IT administrator, it's always, how can I show that it's not my problem? So it's mean time to instance or anything, something like that. So, and how can I consume, and this is something new we do for a long time, is how can I now consume my infrastructure also and get all the data out of my infrastructure components and use it for security analytics or use it for networking analytics, for example. I have all this data, and can I do with this data something smart and call it machine learning or artificial intelligence or stick any number, but how can we make sure you can do smarter things and leverage the IT experience of the infrastructure also. And then of course you have X experiences, IoT security, IoT analytics. This is what we called the Edge software platform. And now, I mentioned this platform you can consume on-prem, you can consume from the cloud or as a managed service. And I said we have a unified hardware layer. So think of anybody else in the industry. If they have, most of the times they have a hardware stack that is connected to a software stack. And if you want to change between the two, that's impossible, right? You need either to have an on-prem or you have a cloud stack, for example. This is one hardware layer. So you can start on-prem, maybe consume some services out of the cloud, or you can start as a full cloud. Your hardware layer doesn't change. So it goes with the journey of your organization. And on top of that, we are trying to add these experiences either from ourselves or from our ecosystem. For example, how can we also make IT relevant to the line of business? Meaning, how can IT become relevant and feeding marketing information to that marketing to deliver that next generation shopper experience? Or how can we be relevant so that make sure that facility management can connect these sensors or can connect the network to get that data out and how the building is being used. And then the last two are this next generation experience, right? So one example we do, for example, is we're consuming all this data. So for example, we know if clients are capable doing 5 gigahertz or 2.4. And if we know that there is a lot of 5 gigahertz capable clients, but you have a lot of 2.4 gigahertz client connected, we can say automatically tweak these parameters and your clients will move from 2.4 to 5, which get a better experience. The same counts for security, but I get back to that one in a couple of slides. Then dynamic segmentation. So that's the architecture and what's the uniqueness. I think we deliver a unique architecture in the industry about dynamic segmentation. And remember that we started this in 2013 with our ClearSpass product. That product is still the same and went to technology innovation. So the first thing we do is in every organization we work with, we ask, do you know what is really 100% running on your infrastructure? So do you know what kind of devices, what kind of users, and what combination do you know? What is the device, what is the operating system, etc. So the first thing we do is profile everything that cuts it to your network. And that's something, so that gives you that visibility. So is it as an IoT camera, is it as a corporate device in combination with a corporate user, or if it is a corporate user in combination with a bring your own device. That's something we do the first step. Then the second step is we have been pushing roles to wireless, to wired, regardless of the connectivity, what you are allowed to do on that infrastructure. And if you move away, the role will automatically follow you. The second step we did is, in particular, in wireless, all the traffic goes to controllers, right? And with these controllers, you have complete application visibility, you have complete firewall visibility, you have all the functionality you have. So we said, okay, what if we tunnel all the ports towards this controller also, and you treat your wireless infrastructure almost the same as your wireless infrastructure. So that's, and then you get all this application visibility and all this, this what you are used to on wired, actually all the firewalling. And that we do that per port, and the last step we did is per user. So you see a hybrid model here is either you tunnel everything to that controller, or you say no, I only going to do my my IoT devices to the controller, and I'm going to do the users. I'm going to do just with policy. So this way, you can completely tweak your environment based on dynamic segmentation. And then all your adds, moves, and changes are completely automated, which also simplify the network configurations you have to do on this device. You can either zero touch, or maybe I'd rather talk about one touch provisioning. I think that's more fair than talking about zero touch provisioning. And then we said, okay, let's take that same architecture, right? Same architecture, what we did for enterprises in a long time, connect the cloud-first approach and take it for a distributed enterprise. Meaning if you have multiple branches, can be 5 branches, can be 100, can be 1,000 branches, whatever you want to do. Take that same architecture and extend it to the distributed enterprise. The big advantage is, because I think a branch needs multiple components, right? It needs a component for WLAN, it needs a component for LAN, and you want to have one single policy engine throughout your architecture. You don't want to deal with different policy engines and make decisions for that. So that's what we did, and we took that one, and we also learned, right? We also learned, I mentioned the zero-touch provisioning. I get back to that one in one slide after this. What we learned is, in particular, how quickly can we deploy these locations. So we took this software-defined LAN approach, which Laurent was presenting already in his session before, not before this one, but before that one. And we took that software-defined LAN approach and we extended that to this distributed enterprise, also for your branches. And that's why we won the CRN Tech Innovation Award also in 2018 with the single architecture for your distributed enterprise. So can we do this at scale? This is a large deployment of a retail where we did this for. And for this large deployment of retail, we did this for 14,000 sites. But that's not the key thing. Remember that I had on one slide, I had this app, provisioning app. And with the provisioning app is what we learn is that not every organization allows everybody in their branches. So with this app, you ship the component, you scan it, you can give somebody for a certain amount of time, you can give them access, you scan it, they connect it, and then everything will be deployed for you. And all your adds, moves, and changes are deployed by the way you do dynamic segmentation. So by that one, this is 14,000 sites. We did 200 sites per day for this kind of customer development. We have another one, it's called Inditex, and that's Zara, Bershka, all the shops in here. That's more than 7,000 shops, and we did for them more than 500 shops a week, completely running on this architecture. So do we do other experience? I want to mention one here, is that the one there is the user experience insight. User experience insight is, I think, if it is so important to measure this experience from the user, how are you going to measure that? If you measure it from an AP, it will never work, because the AP is always farther away than the client is, right? So we have a sensor, we call it the user experience insight sensor, which you place as close as possible to the user. Then you say what you want to monitor, and then that applications are being monitored as if it is an end user client. So the sensor is truly an end user device with chipsets, wireless chipsets, and everything wired chipset as a client is. So this is the way you can truly do end user experience monitoring and prove that how your users are perceiving your cloud or whatever services. So we want to automate everything from a provision standpoint, either called one-touch or zero-touch provisioning. So because we can simplify this configuration on these devices, is it also much easier for us to do this zero-touch provisioning, because all your adds, moves, and changes is done by policy automation, right, with this ClearPath body. Visibility, enforcement, and then take control. And then the last one is this AI Ops, is getting this additional intelligence by doing this intelligence either for security or for this net insight, what I mentioned, for example, is connecting how these clients are being able to your network. And there's much more algorithms in there that support you to give a better experience for the IT administrator. Join AirHeads. AirHeads is our technical forum platform. Just look it up. And then I want to end up with this one is, I'm not going to talk again about the experience we want to deliver, but I think, Laurent, if you can briefly talk about our combined services there.
Sure. So thank you, Tobias, for this great presentation and showing also the reality coming with SD-LAN. So we talked about this. Now we see concrete solution coming on the market. So together we are working as a partners on development of this solution. We are building a new flexible LAN portfolio that will support the Aruba services with different kind of services, with a flexible model to deliver you a la carte services, from integration services up to fully managed services. And on this one, we definitely work in a co-development and co-innovation model with Aruba, and also with you to onboard you in this story. So we are ready now to take customers and to onboard customers. We have made great success together on this solution, and now we are definitely willing to work with you to manage this transformation. We see this transformation of the LAN is a key topic, and with Aruba we can help you prepare the future and get a future-proof infrastructure in the LAN area, so in this edge area. Thank you very much for this.